Good morning. Um, let's see. Dora, good morning, and Linda and Key. Also Barbara and Ruth, good morning. Um, I see I'm taller than I normally am, so I'm sitting on my cushion here, the meditation cushion. I found it. Um, I have a bunch out in the studio, but I only had one in the house, but I wasn't sure where it was, but I did find it. Um, I'm going to show you this actually. So this is what I have. Um, you can get these all different. This is from a place called Bean Yoga. I think it's up in Vermont. But there are lots of these available online. You can get them with covers that remove, or I don't think this one removes. Some of them have stuffing, and some of them have buckwheat hulls, which is, you know, the shell of a buckwheat grain. Um, and it's firmer, but it's also like forms. So you can make like a nice comfortable seat on it, um, but it doesn't compress too much. So it's got a greater firmness. I like the ones with the hulls best. Um, but everybody has their own, and this isn't the only shape. There's a lot of different shapes. You can get kind of square ones and different things. But typically, a set of these, there's a cushion, and then there's a square piece that goes underneath. It's almost like a little piece of quilt, and it's thinner. But that is to kind of support, give you a little cushion on your feet, and then eventually on your knees if your knees are hanging down that far. Um, I don't have those because I just don't have those. Sometimes I use a yoga mat if I want that. But this is really what if you only can buy one, I would say buy one of these. Um, it will certainly make sitting for your meditation a lot more comfortable. Um, you can always, you don't have to sit on the floor for meditation. You can sit in a chair. You can do whatever you want. But if you are trying to cultivate um, more time sitting on the floor for the hips and that sort of flexibility that helps you with, this will make it more comfortable. Some kind of a cushion, meditation cushion. So lots of them on Amazon and so many different websites you can get these at. So I would say it's worthwhile, a worthwhile thing to have if you're going to try to sit for any period of time on the floor, should I say. But just remember where you left it, because Linda, you have one. Yeah, they're really helpful. I think sometimes people don't think about, they just like, oh well, sitting on the floor is really uncomfortable. Well, yeah. So there are things you can do. And if you don't have one of these, you can use some cushions and things. It's just, this is you want something that's firm because you will kind of compact it as you're sitting. Um, but there are, and I think we forget about that on our quest. Sometimes we get very focused on what we want to do, and we don't think about the helpers that we can have along the way, cushions and blocks and things like that. It's not cheating. It's not. There's nothing wrong with using props and things to help you get into poses that you want. It gives you some support, and there's nothing wrong with that. Right? Okay, so um, that's good. We talked about that. We can probably get started because it's already a little bit past. So I think we're going to talk about this idea of love. Right? So we don't talk about love per se in yoga. We talk about having, concern for other people and compassion, a lot of those things. But um, love, we don't say that word per se, but it kind of means the same thing. So when we talk about love, it's like the big L love, for everyone and everything. Um, but that also translates into, sort of our smaller group. Um, but I think in our culture, we kind of, when we talk about love, usually we're thinking about like romantic love or something like that, something that's very specific and very um, exclusive, right? The sort of couples and things like that. That is kind of the form of love that is, I would say, highly celebrated in our culture. We forget about all the other different types of love. And I don't have this quote, right, because I am not prepared, but um, there is, I think, in its Greek culture, maybe 8 or 10 different specific types of love that they have sort of codified. And there's love from parent to child and love from, that there are specific types. So we could just encompass it all under the big L love. Um, there is nothing inherently superior for one kind of love from the other, right? Because if you think about, we're all one, we're all part of the one, our love and our consideration for each and every person is the same because we are all the same. So I can't see a division um, in my care for a person of my family compared to my neighbor. Right? Now, I may feel more sense of responsibility to my family and to my children, things like that. But that concern and that ability to feel empathy is the same. Um, so when it comes to things where we are trying to, we can't differentiate, right? There is that love and concern for the group, the whole. Um, and if we can hold that, it does change a lot of our perceptions about ourselves and the people around us. Instead of it being us versus them, it's all of us together. Instead of I've got mine, too bad for you, it's what can I do to help you? Can I share? Do I have extra? What could I pass on to someone who needs it? This gets hard. It can get hard, especially if you're dealing with people that you don't like very much. So we aren't required to like everyone in the world. We may dislike some people. We may not like their actions. We may find their personality difficult to deal with. They may just rub us the wrong way. Right? But we love them all the same. Um, that's where it gets hard. So even though we may not care for certain people, we may not like certain parts about them or things that they've done, we still must accept that they are part of the one. They're part of our whole. And we'll go into another theme that we may go into later, and we will, is this idea of light and dark, right? So just as we have light and dark parts of our internal part, So will we have that in the world, right? There will be people that do terrible things, and there will be people that do amazing things. Um, we love them equally. We may punish the people who do bad things. We may seek to stop them and to point out the error of their ways. But even that needs to be done in a sense of encouragement and inclusion, right? They are simply us gone bad, right? My mom always used to say, "There, but for the grace of God go I." And the truth of it is, that is, we all have the capacity for great good and the capacity for great evil. We just haven't been in that situation, or we haven't developed in that way. Um, but inherently, there is nothing different from us and that person. Um, so we can't, it would be nice if we could say, well, that person is like a mutant or an alien, right? They're not human, they're not us. The hard thing is that they are us. Um, they're just us in a form that we don't want to be in. Um, and for the most part, they don't want to be in that form either. It's just where they are at. So um, we love them. We love them as we love ourselves. Um, we work to do what we can to help them and to, I would say, accept them. Um, accept that there will be some people that are going to be hard in your life. Um, they may never change. You don't have to put up with their activities, right? If they're doing things that are offensive to you or destructive to you, you don't have to be around them. But to take the time and the energy to hate someone like that, or to um, try to deny them, you know, pretend that they aren't a person, right? Um, that's a waste. It's a waste of our time. It's a waste of energy. And it's just simply not true. And we know at the basis of yoga is always seeing things how they are, not how we want them to be, how they are. So, love. Sometimes easy, right? It's easy to love your friends and your, uh, family when they're not driving you crazy. And it's easy and hard. But that's what it is, right? That's what life is. It's easy and it's hard. So this is no different from that. Um, and it's a practice, just like everything else. We're not going to get it right away. Um, we are going to fight some of it. It's going to be hard. It's not going to feel very normal or natural. But frequently, our go-to feelings are not um, healthy and good, right? So anger may be your go-to when you come across one of these people. Um, that's not a good place to stay, right? You may be angry at what they're doing, but to hold that anger um, against them is um, that. And here's another quote. I'm going to get wrong. That idea of anger is poison, right? It's something that you feel for someone else, but you're poisoning yourself um, with that feeling. So um, forgiveness and acceptance is a much healthier, for your own self. It's going to be a healthier path. It doesn't mean And by acceptance, I don't mean making it okay. I don't mean letting them do it again. I mean accepting that it happened and that they maybe are the way they are, and then making your choices. Maybe you aren't going to be around them anymore. Maybe you are going to choose other places and other people to be with. Um, so we forgive um, an act, but we don't forget that it happened. We remember that this is something that maybe we want to stay away from. Right? That's what we remember for our own protection and our own growth. Um, and that's love too, right? Loving yourself enough to make some hard choices. There may be family members and friends that are bad for you, that um, are very toxic, and you may have just had enough of that. It's okay to, you can love someone and know that being around them is terrible for you. Um, those choices, we have to make. It doesn't mean we hate them. It just means that they are not good for you. It's like a food. It's like a food or something you can't consume. You're allergic to it. It literally will cause you physical harm. And some people are quite like that. So we can love them from afar. And sometimes that's the best thing of all. So when we love, we are coming from the heart chakra, right? So this center here is what we call where the heart chakra is. And to love is to have this open. Right? So we spend a lot of time kind of protecting that area, right? Um, Pulling the shoulders back and being very open in the chest is sometimes a very difficult thing to do. We feel very open, very vulnerable. Um, so if you feel like that, if you feel that you're normally kind of like this, see if you can make an effort to kind of pull back, be more upright. Um, it's a habit, right, that we can get into, just being smaller than we really are. So if you can do that in class, if you can do that at home in places that you feel safe, that's great. And the more you do it, the more natural it'll feel, the more comfortable you'll be with it. But start small. If it gives you a feeling of unease to be so open, do it only in places where you feel safe and see how that goes. A lot of us have adapted different behaviors, different ways of holding the body and holding tension in the body, that if we want to change those things, we need to work on it over a period of time. You don't want to kind of force your way into it because it's not good for the body, but it's also not good for your mind and your emotions. You can get a lot of anxiety and like fear sort of build up in the body from that. So just take it gradually. You'll know if you start to feel, you know, anxious, then back off a little. Um, and we're going to do a few more poses today that are more sort of opening for the chest as part of this sort of heart thing. So um, let's do some asana to go with the heart centeredness. So we're sitting up, bringing the shoulders back, and breathe. Let's bring the arms behind you. Interlace the fingers. And then sitting up tall, maybe you're just resting the hands on the mat, gazing up. And then relax. Let's bring the arms wide. Breath in here, and then exhale, hands together in the front. Inhale wide. And exhale. Inhale wide. And exhale. One more. Inhale. And then let's bring the arms up overhead. Take a deep breath here, and then on the exhale, hands down by your side. Inhale, lift. And lower. Lift. And lower. Let's lift the shoulders, roll back. And forward. Left hand on right knee, right arm behind, sit up tall. Take a breath, and then twisting to the right. Back to center, and switch. And back to center. Tabletop. Let's sit back on the heels. And maybe bring the knees apart so that we can really kind of lean down. And coming back up, we're going to do rabbit pose. So we've got knees coming close together, hands by your side. And we're going to reach back. Maybe you can grab the foot or the ankle. You could kind of tuck your fingers underneath if you can't reach all the way back. And we're going to tuck the chin close to the body so that the crown of the head, just this top part of the head, is resting lightly on the mat. And then we're going to start lifting up the hips so that a little weight is resting just on the top part of the head. Not too much. And having the arms behind kind of breaks, gives you like a little stop. So you can't go too far. So I'm going to do this, but I'm not going to be able to talk when I'm down here. So tuck the chin, rest the head down, and then lift the hips. And come on back up. And let's bring the fists Out in front, we can rest one on top of the other, set your forehead down. Keep breathing. And then coming back up, tabletop. Inhale, let's lift the right arm high. We're going to reach it under, setting down on the shoulder. Come on back up. Right arm lifts again. And left. Lifting high. Reaching under. Breathe. Come on back up. Left arm lifts high. Back down to the mat. Let's loosen up through the spine a little. Inhales. Exhales. Finish up the set you're on, and then flip the toes. We're going to come up to downward dog. And step up. So we're at the top of the mat in a fold. And then rising up. Standing tall on your mountain. Breath in and out. Inhale, lift your arms. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, right foot steps back. Drop the knee, arms overhead. So let's interlace the fingers here and maybe lean back a little. Back up to center. Let's bring your hands together. Take a breath. And then twisting to the left. You could hook the elbow or be more upright for your twist. Back to center. Left hand down by the foot. Right arm lifts. Both hands down to the mat. Kind of walking out here. Finding a place that feels right. Walk your hands back. We're straightening out the left leg, folding over. And then set your foot down. We're going to step the back foot up and fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift. Back to mountain. Take a breath. Inhale, lift the arms. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, left foot steps back. Drop your knee. Arms overhead. Let's interlace the fingers, leaning back. Back up, hands to center, take a breath, and a twist. Whichever way you want to do this. Holding this right shoulder back. And then back to center. Right hand down by the foot, left arm lifts. And then both hands to the mat. Finding where you want to be for your little lizard. Walk the hands back. And we're straightening out that right leg. Fold over. And then setting the foot down, we're going to step the back foot up, fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift. Hands to center. Back to mountain. Take a breath. And let's do a couple of balance type of things. So, tree to start. Bringing in the right foot. Maybe ankle or higher. See what works today. Right knee rotates out to the side. Bringing that balance to center. And then choosing what might be next. Bring everything back. Switch. So we're standing on the right. Got that left leg. Rotate it out. And then coming back down, bicycle out the legs. And let's do a dancers. So you've got hands overhead. Drop that right hand. Reach back. We're going to catch a hold of the foot or the ankle or just reaching back for that. Find that steadiness here. And then choose maybe some extension. See what's happening today. Maybe you have a lot of flexibility and strength, maybe not so much. Working with what you have. Doing what you need to for the day. And then gently release, cartwheel the arms. And if you have to step out and release the foot, that's fine. You can try again. Whatever you want to do. Working on the left side. Same thing, we've got a hold of the foot or we're reaching back as if we are going to catch the foot. Finding the steadiness and then seeing if there is some extension. But, working slowly and mindfully. So we're not trying to rush and we're not losing our balance. And then release it. Come on back up, cartwheel the arms around. And come on back to the top of the mat, arms overhead. Let's interlace the fingers, flip the palms, lean back a little bit. And then folding forward. Inhale, up to a flat back. Exhale, stepping back. Downward dog. Inhale, forward to high plank. And then lower down. Head turns to the right. Arms by your side. Take a few breaths. Coming back to center here. We're going to set up for Sphinx. So we're propping ourselves up on the elbows. Hands are resting on the mat. And we're going to press down with the palms while we're pulling back with the shoulders. And breathe. Coming back down to the mat. Hands by your side. Head turns left. And then bringing your head back to center. We'll do locust here. So got hands still by the side. Rest the palms on the mat. And then we're going to lift up head and chest, and then arms and legs. Lower down. Let's bring the arms out in front. You can rest the head. Take a few breaths. And then make your way back up. Tabletop. And we're going to come up on the knees for camel pose. So we've got, the knees are kind of maybe about hip width apart, so not right close together. And from here, we might bring hands behind, so they're pressing with like the fingertips pointing up. Or if that's hard on the wrists, you can press the tops of the fists into the lower back here. Take a deep breath. And then we're pressing the hips forward while we're leaning back the upper body. So if this feels tight, if you don't feel very comfortable doing this, you don't have to go very far. Just go to where things begin to feel tight. Come on back up. Take a breath. And then we're going to flip the toes. So it just lifts the heels up a little bit. And we're going to reach back with the right hand for the heel or the ankle, lifting up the left. So you can make this a very small movement. If you want to lean back, you can, but you don't have to. Right? See what feels good today. Coming back up, and we're going to switch sides then. Left hand back by the foot, right arm lifts. And moving back up. Let's come to tabletop. And just stay here for a couple of breaths. Then sitting back, child's pose. Tabletop again, this time to downward dog. And then walk the feet up. And we're going to sit on the mat. Soles of the feet together. Take a deep breath in. Leaning forward. So my hips are sore today, so I'm actually going to bring my feet out a little further than I normally do. It just helps everything to feel okay. So you may find some days you need to do something a little different. That's okay. Okay? We're seeing each practice as something all by itself. Okay? Don't think about what you did last week or what you might do next week. Just see what you're going to do today. Come on back up. Both legs out in front. Inhale, lifting high. Exhale, fold. Moving back up. We're going to bend this right knee and just hug it in close to the body for a couple of breaths. Then lowering the knee out to the side. We've got the right foot in by the thigh on the left side. Take a breath and then reaching forward, the left hand folding over the leg. Coming back up. Let's switch. So we'll hug that left leg in close to the body. And lowering down. So that knee goes to the outside. Left foot is near the right thigh. Take a deep breath and then lean forward. Reaching towards that foot with the right hand. Back up, both legs out in front. One more fold, deep breath, fold forward. And then we're going to bend the knees, soles of the feet to the mat. Find a little room behind you for lowering down. And find your place on the mat. Take a few breaths. And then we've got the knees bent, soles of the feet to the mat. Right ankle comes on top of the left knee. You might stay here, or you could bring that left thigh in closer to the body, drawing it in with fingers interlaced behind the thigh. And then we're going to switch. Same thing. Whatever you did on the one side, we'll do on this side. And then both feet down to the mat. We're going to walk the heels in close, getting ready for bridge. Hands by the side. And then pressing down, hands and feet. We'll start lifting up the hips. And then lowering. Soles of the feet together. Knees apart. We'll bring the arms up over the head. If that feels comfortable for you, you could grab opposite elbows, pulling the shoulder blades together behind you. And keep breathing. And then let's just move into Shavasana here. So you could stay with the feet together, knees apart, or you could extend the legs out, do whatever you want to be comfortable for Shavasana. Just keep breathing. Feel the support of the mat under your body. So this idea of love being our central it's maybe the glue that kind of holds all of us together. It's kind of a beautiful thing. So sometimes we think of the universe as this kind of cold and indifferent place. But in truth, there is a benign love that is for everything. And I think sometimes we get the impression that it's indifferent because it isn't individual, right? So you won't always get what you want. You might feel like you're getting very thwarted in a lot of the things that you're trying to do. And what we need to remember is that love is for everyone. So when you are thwarted in something, someone else may be achieving something. it isn't all about you, right? So it isn't a personal thing, it's an overall thing. And I think it helps. I know it helps me when I'm having trouble with something to think that, well, again, um, maybe it's not about me. Maybe I'm just getting caught in something else, somebody else's wake, right? Um, in general, things come around, right? So you may be having a hard time right now, but there will be easier times too. Um, it's hard sometimes. We get so focused on um, what's happening right now is we forget the patterns. We forget to notice what's happening over a long period of time. And it can be helpful to look back in your life to see um, when you had hard times. Often there are people that pop up that give you a helping hand, either a kind word or financial help or just giving something of their time and themselves. And sometimes it's people that you least expect. It may be people you barely know, maybe people you don't know at all, just a stranger that appears just when you need that to happen. Um, there are these synchronicities that you may notice. Um, and that to me that's what the universe is doing to help. The universe doesn't guarantee we're all going to have $1 million and everything our heart desires. But what the universe does do is helps you along your path. Um, but you have to be willing to accept it and you have to appreciate it for what it is, instead of feeling, ungrateful, because it's so hard. Well, a lot of times good things are hard to achieve. Um, sometimes the work is as much the point as the end result. So do your things with love. Treat everyone around you with love. Um, we know this, that energy is a transfer. What you're putting out is what you'll get back. So if you are going through a pretty negative time, by putting more negativity out there, you're basically feeding that loop. Um, and it's hard. It can be very hard to love our neighbors when we feel like we're having a hard time, as it is. But it's really the only choice, right? If you want to move out of that cycle, you have to take that step. Take the step into being positive, into being loving. Um, I didn't really, maybe tomorrow we'll do it. But there's a meditation, a Buddhist meditation called loving kindness, that is a great way to cultivate some of that. And maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow because we're almost out of time. And I'm not prepared. All right. So moving now, coming back to awareness. And then making your way up to a seat when you're ready. We'll bring our hands together. Take a deep breath in and out. Thank you for taking some time this morning for yoga, for sharing it with me and with everyone else here. I hope you have a really good Monday. Namaste. Well, thank you for coming to class. I will be here tomorrow. I just finished when the church bells went off, so they're right on time for a change, which is good. So that's all, I guess. I don't have anything. Do you have anything? No. All right. Well, I'll be back tomorrow, and I will get that meditation. I think it's something I gotta look up online and print out for you, because there's a kind of a like a script kind of that we'll go through for that. Oh, thanks, Carrie. Thank you for coming, Susan. It's very helpful, right? Because it isn't natural sometimes to feel that love for people that have harmed you, or really even just get on your nerves, right? But it's so helpful, and it's such an opportunity for personal growth to be able to not allow those people to destroy your peace of mind. And just like everything else, we can work on it. We can develop it as we go along. It's not necessarily something that we automatically feel, but we can work on it. So, all right. I will be back tomorrow.